here we go. All right, guys. Let's see here. Get a couple more things set up. Sorry, I was running a little bit late tonight, folks. Been a good, crazy day. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. Glue. All right, so we're rolling back into the Dynamic Preservation Models learning kit that we started last week, where we're taking, we're just building this kit like this, customizing and adding our 3D print pieces, which I've knocked out a couple of the options. So we got some windows that we'll use in lieu of what comes in the kit. And then I've got some inserts that we'll use with pipe connections. And then we'll get into some of that custom stuff next week when I go through the roofing piece. So tonight what we're just going to do is roll through the assembly of the kit, the simple stuff, and just how that rolls together for me, and how I try and keep things square. And then we'll talk a little bit about the roof tonight, get that piece rolling on some of the customization pieces I've thought through over the week as I've been working through some of the other rendering stuff. And we'll talk about what's going inside the building for customization tonight as a fire pump house, just to bring everybody up to speed and try and get these rolling methodically, kind of one at a time as we piece this together. So you'll notice it's not we're not doing like a throw this thing together in an hour as fast as you can kind of build. We're gonna take the paint and weathering will go to this level, and so I've been working through some test pieces that just show the mortar joint process and the modulation of color across the brick. And this test piece is without doing any different brick colors like I've done in the big piece. And then we'll also roll through how we can add decals on top, and then we'll weather on top of this, and so we'll show that part of it. And I've got some decals tonight that I've got picked out that we'll go through, maybe if we get to that. So I only want to run the live stream for maybe 30 to 45 minutes tonight, so that should allow me to get through the build side of it. If any questions pop up, I'll try and get with those. Let's see, I've got music should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and expand my screen here a little bit in case I get some chat stuff that pops up. I want to be able to see that. Might not be able to, but we'll see. I should have chat rolling so that I can see that as well. And I've not used this music, so I'm not sure. I think I'm good without any weird commercials or anything. I guess I'm going to find out. So I'll deal with that. Cross that bridge when we get there. So all my mics should be good. Desktop audio. All right, let's roll. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we've got front and back, and then we've got our the back of our parapet walls. So these go on the back side of this to finish out our roof piece. So we'll glue those up and get that rolling. Make sure you get that row lock up at the top. That'll be ugly if you don't. And I just drop it down like this. Should allow me to line things up. And we're gonna sand all this smooth at the top, so I'm not worried about super glue up here at this point. And this is all gonna get covered with, actually, be careful here. This is gonna get covered with a piece of styrene. As a concrete cap. That is fighting me on where that needs to drop here. Come on now. Do it that way. I'll get you in place. And then I'll roll. Get all that excess off there. But this is all going to get covered. We're going to have a piece of styrene that covers that. Part of that piece, but we want to be as close as we can get. That one slid down on me a little bit. Good thing we're going to get that hidden. The second one. I'm going to have to get creative with that one. I didn't get it quite loaded into the corner where I really should have had it, but that's all right. And then those will sit together like that, and I wait to put them in on these ends. Probably get to that tonight as well. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. Clean this up inside. I know it'll come back to haunt me if I don't. Toothpicks or Q-tips are your friend. Hey, if you're in the chat, drop me a note. Let me know you're here. All right, got our square here. All right, so we got this one's going up front. Both ends have the same window. And this one was a little off from earlier. So that one could be ugly in the glue up. I might save that one for last. Do this side here first. Yep, that's a real good fit there. I'm just checking my edges here that I had sanded last week. That's a real good fit there. So then this one's going to go here. That one's real good there. So we're just going to be left with one corner that I got to kind of pull together a little bit. All right, so this is the sanded edge. So we're just going to put a light bead on there so that we don't get crazy glue. Squeeze out. Hit it from this back corner. Doesn't take much to get these going together. Not much at all. Here's my square corner. And the key is just holding all this stuff parallel with the ground. I don't have a bunch of jigs and stuff to do this. I've got this 190-degree block. You get other people that use all these 90-degree corner things. I've just never done it, and I'm sure they're amazing, but I know this is 90, and that's good. So that one's done. So this one is going to be this one's a little off. I'm going to take this out because I think I'm going to be okay without it. I don't use an activator or anything like that. I guess I'm kind of old school in that regard. Let's see here. Line me up at the bottom, line me up at the top. This is where we'll get creative with some power lines and some conduit type stuff that hides these corners a little bit. But usually once I get everything painted, I mean, it's kind of like this. You don't really see these joints where everything glues up. I mean, this whole top piece is a separate piece, and these models go together pretty good on the modular kits. So paint hides a lot of that, and then we get creative with some other stuff which hides a lot of that. Alright, so now this one, a little bit bowed on the bottom. I hit both sides at the same time with the glue, and we're going to go for it. We're going to get both of them set at the same time and cross our fingers there. Don't screw this up. Set one side first. Set. Slide this other one in. So you can see me doing it here. Let's hold that together here a bit and make quick work of this thing. You can see how this parapet's fit inside, so that way we drop this roof down in below. It's going to be snappy. Don't have my small square with me. But you can see we're nice and square. Both corners. So we're in good shape. All right, so now you can see where how my walls are lined up. Front door, windows all around, and we're going to drop these in. Give you an idea of how these look. These will be the windows that drop in here. Not quite perfectly, but they'll glue in beautiful from the back side. Custom windows. Still got to figure out how I'm going to do glass on those. I was planning on doing canopy glue with them. I was thinking to do face down on a piece of acetate with canopy glue to fill that out for glass. But then I was like, well, I guess I can cut a piece of glass to fit in there. Still haven't quite decided on where I'm going to land for that. I got to get some canopy glue is the piece in order to do my glass that way. So, but that's what I'm currently thinking. So that the windows have kind of an old school look to them, even though they're new windows. And then we're going to drop that. Where did I put the? There's the door. So this is the door that comes with the kit. Slides in from the back, and I'm not sure it would work, but I really was thinking about doing this as kind of an open overhead door so that I could drop some styrene on the inside, paint it out as a metal, and then show, you know, kind of that overhead door would sit kind of in here like this, open. So you can see that. And I'd work on like maybe a custom overhead coiling door with the track and stuff up in there that would work. And then the back half is where you would have the plumbing from the pumps coming over. So the pump assembly is going to sit here in where the overhead door is at. So I've got, you know, a couple of fire pumps that water, the inlet side will come in back here and through the building, or it might come in from here to a connection that I built here, and then I can do all the internal piping here. And that's what got me into processing, potentially doing the roof with magnets. So haven't quite figured that out yet, because it would be kind of cool to be able to pull the roof out and be able to see in from the top. But then I got to finish all the interior walls, and that starts taking on a little bit more work than I was originally planning. But what I may do is print, just not 3D print, but just on cardstock, print brick or a CMU block interior wall, and then just spray adhesive that to the inside, and then I can use chalks and weathering powder on that for the inside of this building, so that I can come in with my roof card, because that roof will sit up on top, and then we'll actually it'll sit down below. So that roof is going to sit, you know, that 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch below here, so that you see that brick parapet, and all that's going to get weathered just like this. And then we'll have a roof card in there. Really, that should come in from the bottom. So I got to think about how I might pull that off so that roof is removable. Maybe what I'll do is I'll off stream. That's what I'll do. Off stream, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a piece of styrene. Just talk you guys through this so that when I come back next time, you'll see some things that are done. So what I'm going to do is I'll set a ledge in here right below this parapet, and then I'm going to cut the styrene to fit the top perfectly with a little bit thicker piece, and I'll drop 4 magnets in the corners and put maybe like a little ledger underneath that I can then just set this down, and the magnet will hold it in place. And then I'll have like a roof vent or some piping that will allow me to pull that off pretty easily, because this will all be stuck to the base. And I'm going to 3D print the base. Let me see if I got one of the extras here real quick. I know I've got one. Don't know what I did with it. had everything sitting right here. But apparently I moved it. Don't know what I did with it. Might be downstairs because I've been working through some paint stuff. But this is all 3D printed. And this is actually in a marbling phase before I do the top coats and then do weathering and stuff. But I'll print a base with the FDM printer so that I can get these joints in it. And then I'll go through and this whole piece will then sit on a base so that I get kind of that concrete look at the outside edge. And then I can do all that. And what I'll do is I'll magnetize the building to the base, and then that base is going to drop in to the refinery module. So that keeps things kind of kit aparts kind of thing. I could leave the base on the refinery module and then pull my buildings off the top, set them to the side, and then just come back, and drop them right onto a base that's magnetized for those. But if we just go to the roof real quick, one of the things I said I'd do is I talk about the roof piece. This all drying up. I'm going to get these other two on here in a minute before I finish. Excuse me. But the roof will have a pump vent that'll come up through, and then what I'll do is I'll incorporate pipe racks. I know I've got my pipe racks, because that was one thing I was just working on. Here it is. So I've got pipe racks that I've developed that are just coordinated with regular styrene, and each of these saddles holds a different diameter of tubing. And so what I'll do is I'm going to have, as part of the detail for this to tie into the refinery, is I'll have a set of pipe racks that basically is coming just up above the roof, basically about a piece of steel above the roof like that. And then those will continue across the roof to add some dynamic, some aesthetics to the model. And I'll incorporate some of these racks on steel risers on the roof that, just by the function of the refinery layout, the piping has to get, to all of these buildings. And in this case, we'll have a fire pipe that comes out the side of the building, up through the top, kind of within this rack, and then scoot across the top of the building, which I think could be kind of cool because the fire pipe will all be red. That way you can see on the module, the full refinery module, all the red piping coming from the pump house here, the fire pump house, and up and where it feeds into the module for all the different fire suppression pump areas where you've got connections for fire lines. And then one of the other things I'll do is probably on the back side, or maybe one of these sides, I'll do an infill piece like this that includes a fire pump connection. So it'll have this nice brick. It'll have this nice brick infill detail. I'll include a row lock here to tie it all together. It's kind of an update to the old building, and then coming out below will probably be one or two fire department connection lines where a fire truck could roll up and connect right to the building and provide additional power to an additional line that feeds further, like a pump truck kind of situation for fire suppression. So just trying to think about the different ways that I can incorporate some of that custom content into the model as a whole. And then the other piece will be adding our tanks. So as we look at this as an old auto shop, kind of the original learning kit. It's it's quality auto parts. It's a small parts place. We're going to include a couple of tanks that if I just sit these outside, kind of in this area, then we might have some, tanks. One might be abandoned, put like 2 or 3 of these next to each other. One might be propane, and I'll do some decaling and stuff. But use some custom tanks that are all part of the whole scene, so that part of it was abandoned. Maybe we might have like an abandoned platform where the tank's been removed, just to start telling a story about the repurposing of this building in what the current refinery is using it for. So that's kind of the goals with that piece, so that we can develop a whole scene. And then I've got these old, I don't know if these are Walthers or who this is, but I got these old junky ones that I don't know. I may use these. I may come back and use my 3D printed ones, set those beside the building as part of the refinery, so that the whole building gets absorbed into the global refinery. But I don't know, these could be kind of cool as old petroleum storage tanks if this was an auto parts store, if they're set out off to the side. I'm not sold on it yet, but it could be kind of cool to do it that way. We'll see what happens with that. But for the roof, we've got, I haven't even opened this up, so I'm not sure what's even in this. People like to give me these old white metal kits because I guess they just don't know how to use them, don't want to use them, don't want to jack with them anymore. I love these things. They just got, it's just a crazy amount of detail. So I think, I apologize, I don't remember who gave me this one. That's horrible. I'd have to go back and look through a bunch of messages to figure it out. But we got, you know, some old piping. Here's clearly a roof vent that I can use. Oh, these look like, you know, racks and boxes. So I don't want to make it feel like a junk. It's not a junk facility. It's a new fire pump house. So I'm not sure that makes sense. But like this, like I could come in and include this as part of that scene. But all the rest of this looks like this is all ground level stuff. I'm going to use this on the brewery. I can see that right now. These things can go in the brewery. But then here's another roof vent that I can use. My exhaust stacks look better, so I think I'll use my exhaust stacks for the top. Yeah, so the rest of this, cool. White metal castings, love them. Need to clean all that up. But I think I'll might use these here, or you know what? I might just come in and grab my 3D printed pieces and run those across the top, because I've got all that piping is going to run across there, so I've got to just be mindful of how I set these vents up, because there's probably some type of heater or boiler. There's going to be some exhaust from the backup generator that'll run on diesel or something, so I'll have diesel lines that come in to feed the fire pumps. So they'll have an exhaust, so those might end up being kind of above the fire pump somewhere, so that I can free up this side to you know, include these fire lines that run across the top. So that's the plan with that. And I think what I'll do is I'll utilize the same system that I do for my tar paper roofs. This is just blue painter's tape overlapped, and so I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do the entire. So yeah, I mean this gives you an idea, I guess, so that we can set that on there. Maybe we go with a new roof. Maybe I go with an old dilapidated roof. I kind of like the new roof idea. You know, the refinery is going to be pretty well kept. It's not like it's going to be some rundown facility. I don't want that. So I'll look at how these vents and stuff get incorporated there for that piece. And then I am looking at incorporating some decals on this. Just went through these today, so you can see this one says fire here. I think I'm gonna kind of adopt this same nomenclature for I've got another fire piece here. I've got a couple of these white ones that say building 731. So I may go ahead and drop these on a corner, and that might be kind of a cool thing that I can incorporate as I start developing the refinery, is giving each one of the refinery buildings a number and start digging through some things there. And then I've got these no trespassing signs that I can, you know, drop in on top of this model here. But I'll paint these all first, and then I'll go in and I'll decal everything. I'll get all the decals set, and that way I can eliminate some of this. I got some silvering here. I should have done one or two more things of microsol. Might be able to still get that to settle down a little bit more, but I want these to really settle right into the brick. You can see those yellow bands have really settled right into the brick, and so when I get into the grout or the mortar joints, those will come out real well. But then I'm going to take, like I've done with these yellow stripes, I'm going to take these yellow stripes and I'm going to set them below that row lock with the direction on each side, so it'll just fill these areas at the bottom as kind of like a safety for any equipment that's going to come in. I'll probably set bollards out in front on the final model. I'll do some 3D printed bollards, or I'll do some styrene and set those out front, because that would be kind of a fun detail to add. And then I've got all these car markers. I don't know what this set's for. I forget. But a lot of these just add some detail to the sign of the buildings, you know, to add that life that we need. And then I'll probably take a stab at airbrushing maybe the building number real large across the top up here. So we've got these small building 731 decals that maybe go on some of the other buildings, but then maybe above every main door we just airbrush in white those numbers. So that could be a cool way of showcasing how I do my airbrushing, masking off and airbrushing work to do numbers that then get weathered on top of, so that you can weather it as much, or you can leave it perfectly white like the fire decal is here, but we'll be airbrushing. So I got to work through all that, but the end goal is that they end up, this building is going to be old, but the brick is going to have somewhat of a clean look. The mortar is what's a little bit old. So I'm still working through some samples on that to get rolling with that. So I think that covers the decals. Hit on the roof a little bit. Pump, I'll 3D print the pump. So I'll do a whole interior setup on this piece with 3D printed pump house. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer this kit so that I've worked out a deal with Woodland Scenics where I can buy this kit in bulk and get a little bit of a discount. And I could turn around and, you know, just at the same price that Woodland Scenics sells it for, I'll include this kit. And then I think my goal is to hit around $25 to include all the 3D printed windows. So you'll get, you know, windows and wall infill pieces to do the whole thing. I'll include just the original door, because I know some people won't want, you know, to go the whole crazy custom design route, but with custom 3D printed inserts for all the openings. And then I'll do the pump as an add-on kit. That's something that I know that just isn't going to suit everybody, but the building blocks in and of themselves will all be standard as part of the kit. And the goal here is that we'll roll this out for $25. So, you know, I end up making $5, $6, $7 a kit. It's about $5 or $6 a kit by the time it's all said and done, which can help start building some money for me to buy some more resin and look into some additional equipment pieces to keep rolling with the live stream stuff and how I work with the custom DPM modules. I'd love to actually pick up a few of the DPM kits that are actually have windows already in them, and I'm going to cut and file all those windows out. But some of those bigger kits would be cool to have custom windows and infill pieces. So that's kind of where I want to go with some of the other DPM stuff. I didn't get a chance to get in and file these down, smooth these, because on the shallow arch top pieces, a lot of the heads and sills are actually okay when it comes to the detail for painting and weathering. It's these full arch tops that they drive me crazy. The brick joints are so close; they're twice as close together as they should be. And so I'm going to do a video on completely sanding one of those flat and rescribing that entire piece. And I'll do a how-to video on that piece, because I think that'll be a whole lot easier to follow as one separate, you know, 5-10 minute, probably 10-minute video on pulling that together so that you can kind of see how that process works for when you really want to fix some of the poor modeling. So I don't see any questions rolling through. I know this is pretty rudimentary for what we're going through today. I just wanted to go through real quick assembly on this. I'm going to go ahead and cut this last one. Sorry about that. Got my hat in the way. That one. Let me get my saw out, folks. All right. This one's gonna be off camera. Sorry. This, I actually have a Tamiya styrene saw because they're amazing. Love it. Makes quick work of anything plastic with a fine blade. So, and that's critical. And that will drop in. Just a little bit too long. I don't have an extra one of these. It's stupid, stupid, stupid. Alright, so measure once, measure twice, cut once, that you don't end up with that little itty bitty gap right down there in the corner that now I'm going to have to figure out how to hide. And I'm going to actually run a piece of conduit up and over the building, down into that corner to hide that. So I can hide just about everything. Not ideal, but doable. So we want to set one side perfectly flush. And this is all going to get sanded flat. So and this will all make a lot more sense once I get the parapet piece done. Yeah, so this will actually be okay, because what I'll do is I'll run a piece of conduit right up this edge over the top of the parapet and then down that inside corner. And that's just I use solder. So we'll get a nice thin piece of solder, and that, you know, about the size of this drill bit here, and that piece of solder will come up and over right down into that corner. You'll never even know that I screwed up. But I did. I screwed up. Measure twice, cut once. Don't make that mistake. I should have done it this way the first time. Just measure it from the top. Okay, so we're going to go, that's the factory edge there. I'm going to mark it with my scribing tool, right? It's right in the center of that row lock. Got it. All right, again, cutting another one here off screen. Don't screw this up again. I only measured once. You guys can laugh at me if this doesn't fit, because I'll be laughing. There we go. Nice and clean. Hit this one. Don't have to be super precise if you're planning on putting a parapet on top with this, which is what I want to do. I want to show the scribing process and painting a precast concrete look for a parapet that starts to tie in a light limestone tanny gray color for the parapet that it's been there for a while, and do some weathering on that. So I think that'll look pretty cool with this whole building just as a whole. So all right, so you can see I've got all the interior brick parapets set, looking good. They're all lined up pretty evenly. So I'm going to set that styrene piece inside like we talked about, and then I'll go through and magnetize the top set down so that way I can just drop that roof in and go from there. So I think that's where I'll end tonight's live stream. Again, that's all. I just wanted to get this together quickly. I'm going to go ahead and paint this off live stream so that it looks like this. Basically, it's just Rust-Oleum rattle can paint, and then maybe I'll go through decals on the next one and start the weathering process on the next one, so that you can see how I do the oil paint weathering on my brickwork, which is this. This is no pastels. This is only oils on top of rattle can paint. I've not done any other freehand painting, which just adds another level of depth and dimension to the overall look of your buildings. And then here's one that's a tan brick. So literally, this is rattle can paint, cures for 24 hours, and then I come in, I hit it with odorless paint thinner, a real thin coat over the top, and then mix in the oils, and I'll show how I do all that to get in and let it just like a wash really slide into just the mortar joints, instead of flooding the entire surface with a water-based acrylic and trying to get it to settle in and getting the consistency right. Oils are your friend. As much as people may not like them, they're actually perfect for this scale, 1 to 87 HO scale models. For this, it just takes a little bit more time, but you've got 10 times more control in the color manipulation. And I'll even show like a mortar patch. I'll come in and I'll do everything with the grays and get everything mortared, but then I'll pick certain areas at the corners of the buildings, and I'll get all that set up so that I can just fine tune some lighter gray grout, like somebody's come in and patched some brickwork. So that way you can kind of see how I do that process. So rolling here, it's 45 minutes already. Wow. That's all I wanted to get into tonight. Honestly, guys, just want to try and keep things rolling. It's some easy content. Try and get my streams at 30 to 45 minutes. Just some quick assembly how-to stuff, and then I'll get this painted, and we'll come back next week, and we'll work on the roof next week. So, hey, thanks again for joining me. Really appreciate it, you guys. If you got any questions, shoot them in the comments below. And in the next video, I'll try and get a little bit more engaged and get a little bit more people plugged in sooner rather than last minute today when I post up the live stream video. I'm just trying to find the right time that makes the most sense for me to be able to do this regularly. And it looks like Monday nights, 9 o'clock Central, is probably going to be the easiest time for me to do that. So again, hope you enjoyed it. Hit subscribe, share away, like the video so I can get more of this content rolling. Thanks. Hope to see you guys next time.